Hi folks, this is Nathan and Rob with Two Guys in a Ride, and welcome to our CarTech how-to video on the 2023 Cadillac CT4 V Blackwing. Today, I'll be covering the driver's information and infotainment screens. I'll do a general overview, show you how to access information, and do a deep dive. Let's get started.
Today, we're working with our friends at Snell Cadillac in Mankato, Minnesota.
So the dashboard is all digital. It is a 12-inch screen, and there are essentially, 5 areas. So 3 that are customizable. You've got the quads on the left here displaying different items in each quad, or each part of the quad. And then you've got, of course, your tack and your gear selector. And then on the far right, you have got an area that you can configure information. So you're going to control these with the buttons on the right side of the steering wheel. You've primarily got these 2 arrows, this rotary wheel, and this also pushes. And then we'll get to these buttons a little bit later, but they have to do with media. So to start with, I am actually going to go backwards one screen, and we're going to talk about this quadrant over here on the left. So if I go over there, so it deselects everything, and you can't click this just to bring them all back. They're just all gone. So now you got to go select the 4 that you want. And so as you go down, let's say I want coolant temperature. When I click on it, it shows me what quadrant it's going in. So it's preset, but that's what it's showing you. I'm going to get engine boost, and then I'll do lateral G-force and oil pressure. Okay, so you can select out of all these: oil temperature, time and temperature, tire status, transmission fluid, and then you go back to the top with deselect all. So that is how you change the 4 areas on the left side of the screen. Okay, so let's go one to the right here. First of all, I got to go backwards, and then I think I can just go one. Yep. So now over here, I've got trip information. So if you notice, right next to the 0 miles per hour, there's a little red dot that keeps moving as I scroll. So this is indicative of how many screens you have in this particular window. So for here, I've got trip 1 information, trip 2 information, fuel economy, trip timer, and current drive cycle. Now, if I go back to, say, trip 1, and I click this button, that's how you reset it. And you could do the same for trip 2. Just click here and you can reset it. All right, so let's go then from trip information, let's go over 1 to performance. All right, so under this one, you've got a couple of screens. So performance timer, and then you click this when you're ready. Lap timer. You got a G meter, launch control, and then we're back to performance timer. I'm gonna go over 1 to the right. Okay, driver assistance. This is where your adaptive cruise control will show up. Let's see if we turn cruise control on. There we go. And then this is your gap adjust for your adaptive cruise. All right, so let's go over 1 more to the right. This is your media. So to select the source, you're going to press the rotary wheel, and then you can go through and select. Okay, I'm going to just go to radio media, and I'm going to go to Sirius XM, and there we go. Now, once you're within a particular media, you can use these to change tracks, change stations. Okay, so we're just, and that's the only favorite we have saved right now. So, but if you had more favorites, it would keep going through those. All right, I'm gonna go back 1, and then I'm gonna go to the right. So you can notice this is functioning as a back button. Okay, so let's go over here, navigation. So this has built-in navigation, and so if you had a course plotted, your turn-by-turn directions would show up there. If you click on this rotary wheel, you're going to look at recents or favorites, and then you can click on it and program a route. All right, we went back 1 there. We're going to go over 1 more. Okay, if there was a phone connected, this is where that would show up. And if I go over 1 more, you get oil life. And again, right here, if you press the rotary wheel, this is where you can reset it. If I go down one, you get air filter life, engine life, and those are the three choices. Back to the top again with oil life. All right, so I'm gonna go over one more. Now, under options here, you can change the display theme from what is currently showing on the dashboard. So if I click here, I can go, it's on sport currently. I can go to tour, and that's what that looks like. Or I can go down to track, and that's what that looks like. Or of course you can link it to the driver mode. Okay. All right, so we'll put it back in sport because I kind of like that view. All right, I'm gonna go back one. Speed warning. So you can enable this, and what it's gonna do, if I go down here, it's gonna notify you that you're speeding over a set speed. So this, if I click here, is where I change this. So if its speed limit's 55 and I wanna be warned at 58, I can click here to confirm that. Go back again. Speed sign, on or off. And that's what's showing up right above the digital miles per hour sign in the RPM gauge. So if I went here and clicked off, that's going to disappear. All right. Go back. This is where you can change your units, US or metric. You can look tire pressure, although you can have that up in your quadrant on the left as well. Okay, but you can here you can tell it to relearn in case you change tires or something. Head-up display rotation. So a heads-up display, typically called the HUD, goes up in the windshield. It's reflected off the windshield, but it looks like it's sitting off at the end of the hood of your car. And it displays information for you. So you can have like RPM and miles per hour. You can have, just miles per hour. You can have sign reading recognition, that kind of stuff. And there's a button down to the left of the steering wheel that you can control that. You can also control the height of the HUD from there, and you can control the brightness or dimness of that. What this one does right here is it will allow you to change. There we go. You can see the angle changing in the screen a little bit. It changes the angle of the HUD display, so you can set it to where you like it. All right, I'm gonna go back. Other than that, you've got software license if you want to look for that. But if something's going wrong and you can't quite figure it out, you can always go here and reset to factory defaults. Okay, and that's the end of that one. We've got one more, and that is here, we can simplify any display that we're on. So if I just click here, you notice it just takes things away. So if you don't want to see as much information, you can do that. Okay, press it again and it all comes back. Now, on the left side of the steering wheel, down below the normal controls, you have a button that says V. Now, if I push that, what that's going to do, it's going to put the car in V mode. You see the little V showing up just above the 0 on the RPM gauge. Okay, so that automatically puts you into V mode immediately. Okay, it also shows up on the infotainment screen. Okay, there's also a toggle switch of sorts on the right side of the steering wheel. And what this has to do with is this has to do with traction control. So this is where you can set the traction control. So I'm just going to go to the top of the list for a minute. So you can set the traction control to race 2, race 1, sport, dry, wet, or inactive. And that's what that button does. All right, and that is the driver's information screen. And next we're going to move over to the infotainment screen. On the infotainment screen, it's an 8-inch screen, and it's running software that we're familiar with seeing in Cadillacs. So it's not going to look a lot different from anything that Cadillac's put out lately. Basically, you've got icons on the screen that you can click to go places. You've got shortcuts down at the bottom here. You've got some just information. You've got, your 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot signal. You got outdoor temp. You got time. And then you do have a physical home button right here. But that is the only physical home button. So if I go to home here, I get a split screen. All right, it tells me that my phone is connected, and this is media, and then this, of course, is navigation. All right, so let's start, though, by going over here, and let's just start going through these. Let's take a look at audio. So how do you tune and how do you save a favorite? How do you adjust sound? So it's going to look the same for FM, AM, and Sirius XM. So if I go here, I can just tune to the next available station. It does have HD radio, AM and FM, of course, Sirius XM. I can go here and I can punch in a number. And then it's playing. I can also do a favorite. If I go back here, it's 106.9. All right, so that's how you tune. All right, how do I save a favorite? Well, up on the top are all your favorites. So if I take and just click and hold any of these, it's saved as a favorite now. But I can also overwrite that by clicking on it again on a new station. And there you go. This little arrow and these two dots tell you that you have two screens, okay, that are available. All right, the last way you can do tuning is you can go to browse, okay, and then you can see a whole list of stations here. And I like it that the circle shows up and you get those numbers there. And then you can star things. What I like as a favorite, what I like is you can also unstar them right there. It makes it just really simple. You don't have to go into another menu. All right, how do you adjust sound? Right up here with the sound button, you can adjust your bass and treble. You can just slide your finger along if you want. You can do the same for fade and balance. And then as far as the sound mode, you can have it normal, which is all of the 15 AKG speakers that's in this car. And you could set it to just the rear in case you want to have a conversation up front and they're listening to music in the rear. Okay, it's just going to show you real quick, but it's the same setup for AM. And Sirius XM is exactly the same, only because it's got some live stuff. You've got some additional buttons. You got to play pause. You got to fast forward, rewind. Okay, but otherwise it works the same way, which is nice. Now, the other thing I'll tell you is that your favorites can be a mixture of all three. So no matter what media you're in, what radio you're in, it's going to show you favorites for AM, favorites for FM, and your Sirius XM, which makes a nice shortcut to click on something when you're in FM and you want to go to Sirius XM. Okay, now I'm going to click the home button here. That's the basics on the radio. So when I click on phone, because I've hooked up to Apple CarPlay, you'll notice it's highlighted in green, and I can click there, and I'm going to get the same thing. So I go to there, it shows me Apple CarPlay, but it brings me right to the phone portion. Favorites, recents, contacts, you can dial keypad, and you can do voicemail, which is very nice. Okay, so that's where your phone is. It's not going to be just a Bluetooth connection anymore, but it goes through Apple CarPlay. When you do set it up, there is an option to disable Apple CarPlay, and then you will be hooked up just through Bluetooth. But man, I'd suggest you hook to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, whatever phone you have. This has wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay, of course, FM, AM, Sirius XM. It's got a built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot and built-in navigation. Okay, I am going to click the home button because we'll get to Apple CarPlay in a minute. Let's talk about navigation. All right, easiest way to program a route is to do it with voice command. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the voice command button that's on the left side of the steering wheel, just quick release, and ask it to find me an address.
What would you like?
Where's the closest McDonald's?
Okay, searching for McDonald's nearby. I'm finding more than one match. Because it may take you a while to choose, please do so manually from the display.
Right? Now you notice it gives me the option to mark it as a favorite for navigation, to call it, or to look at routes. So I'm just going to click go, and there you go. That's that simple. Now, to cancel the navigation, they give you a beautiful cancel button right in the screen. Just click it, and there we are. All right, so if I click on the magnifying glass, this brings me to things like recents, favorites, fuel, parking, all these little points of interest, or POIs we call them, but you can click on them and instantly it's going to try to locate places with coffee. It's like a little shortcut. All right, click the X there. If I click on the three dots, I can make some settings. Now, I won't go through all of these, but basically this is where you go in one time and you make decisions about what your navigation is going to look like, what it's going to, how it's going to program a route. So you can change the heading, the way the map actually looks. Okay, does your car look like it's going straight? Does your car look like it's going to the left? Or down? This is where you change that view. What do you want to show on the map? You want fuels, restaurants, fast foods, etc. Touch any one of these and those icons will start appearing on the map no matter where you are. So if you always want to know where gas stations are, you'd want to click fuel. Okay, you can look at traffic events if you want. I am going to go into settings here for a minute, and I'm just going to show you a couple of things. Route preferences. Okay, what do you want to avoid when you program a route? What things do you want it to never take you on? Like, if you never want to be on unpaved roads, check that box. If you never want to go on a ferry, you'd rather go around Lake Michigan, then you can click that ferry. Avoid tunnels, etc. That's all where you set that, and it's just one time. What kind of route? You want the fastest route? Now, I'm assuming since you have the Blackwing, you're going to want the fastest route, but you can also choose eco-friendly if you want. So that's where you can make all of these adjustments. You want to see 3D buildings? Click them on. So all in here is where you can just click on it and decide when you're looking for gas stations, you want regular, mid-grade, or premium. All right? So that's where you do that. Okay, that's the basics of navigation. I'm going to press the home button again. Wi-Fi hotspot. This does have a built-in Wi-Fi hotspot. That does cost. It comes free for a short amount of time, usually about 3 months with a limited amount of data. But then you have to pay a monthly fee. Okay, so I'm going to X out of there. You can set up driver profiles if you want. Okay, and you would select this to start the process. I'm not going to do that. Of course, you have to purchase the vehicle. Okay, but your key will be used to make settings like all your radio favorites, the way your driver's screen looks, climate, that kind of stuff is all customized just by getting in the car and starting it with your key. So you can go through that process if you want. Let's go to Apple CarPlay for a minute. Apple CarPlay is an awesome addition to infotainment screens, and so is Android Auto. Basically what they do is they take any app that will work with your car screen and it throws it up here so that you can put your phone down. This does have a very nice wireless charger, and leave the phone off. Now you can see things on a larger screen. You can also use navigation that you're used to. If you don't want to use the vehicle's navigation, well, I mean, I've got Google Maps in here. I've got Waze. I think I've got, let's see, I've got Apple Maps. But you can use those if that's what you're familiar with, and it shows up right on your screen. Okay, full size, just like the regular navigation. The only thing it won't do is it won't show up in the turn-by-turn display. You have to use the car's built-in navigation to do that. But basically, that's what it does, okay? So it's really good for navigation, great for media stuff, right? If I click here, I get the split screen. So I've got map, I've got buttons for navigation, and I've got music. If I click on either one of these, it goes to a full screen. The one thing that I'd like to point out is if you're using an Android phone, you can do this on your Android Assistant. You can use it on iPhone with Siri. But I have mine set to wake up to Siri, to my voice. So I can go, hey Siri, open Pandora. And there you go. So hands-free, even though your phone is sitting down there, which is awesome. Okay. All right, so that's the basics of Apple CarPlay, and it would work the basic. It'll look different in Android Auto, but it does the same thing. It's the same idea. Putting your phone apps up on your screen. Okay, I'm gonna press the home button. All right, so we're gonna go to the last screen here, and and I'll show you a couple things, but I want to get into that one right here for now. All right. So this does recordings for you when you're driving, which is really cool. Okay, so there is no SD card available, and if you'd have to put one in to actually get the recording to work. But you can look at the recordings here, and they would show up as icons, and you can click on them and play them. You can go in here and you can change settings, like, do I want audio recorded? So it's going to record what you're saying as you're ripping around the track. You can have automatic recording. That starts whenever the vehicle starts. Okay, you can have that on or off, or you can configure that. You want it only in valet mode, so you know what your valet is doing. You can do that. Allow recording overwrite. Well, what that's going to do is when your SD card reaches its limit for memory, it's going to start rewriting the very first video on the disk or on the SD card. Right here, you can change it from 480p to 1080p as far as the quality goes. Right? But that is a really, really cool feature. All right, so this is a cool feature. So on the video overlay, now it's actually going to record what's going on in front of your car, but you can overlay that with nothing or sport information, track information, or timing. So if I hit sport and I hit preview, here's kind of what you're getting. There's the front camera right now. It doesn't. We're apparently not on a track, but that's what it looks like. So that's what it will record. But that's just really, really cool. If I put the track one on there, okay, now it adds a couple of different things. But I absolutely love that it has that feature. All right, we'll go back to home. All right, climate. Now, kudos to Cadillac, but they have included almost every single physical button you need, and you only need to go into this if you like pretty colors. So, but the only thing you can't do from the controls is adjust the ionization. So let's go back to the home screen for a minute. So, and that of course is just SiriusXM, which we have already seen. Now, you notice when I click and I hold on it, okay, I can move it. So I want to replace Wi-Fi with SiriusXM, okay, because I use that more often. Okay, I bumped something over here. What did I bump? Oh, I bumped Android Auto, which was fine. I'm using my iPhone, right? But that is how you can adjust the order of the icons on your screen. Okay, well, that is it for the driver's information screen and the infotainment screen on the 2023 Cadillac CT4 V Blackwing. Hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.